scenes and get the inside scoop of what's going on. So I wanted to hop on. So, hey, everybody. All right. I'm officially on Instagram, and I am officially over here on Facebook. And so I wanted to come on real quick, and I want to talk to you guys about why you just got to go hard in the paint and get started on your vision and your ideas in goals, and what are some of the key lessons and things that I've learned that we have to embrace. Okay. So there's been a lot of momentum that you guys may have seen from me on social media, right? And the reason why is because I helped my husband start his business. And the funny thing is that I've been in business for years, but there's a different momentum when it's somebody else's vision coming to life. And you guys may feel this when you are helping somebody else do something. It just seems a lot more exciting because for some reason you see the possibility for that person as opposed to all the resistance or the problems or the fears, right? For my business, I think I've just gotten so immune to it. I'm very horrible at promoting it. I've been the worst at promotion. Most people don't even know what I do, and I've been online for 13 years. I don't say most people, but a lot of people don't know what I do. I am a business consultant by trade. My gift and skills is in marketing and sales. I help people build businesses and create programs that allow them to actually be able to monetize their gifts, right, or monetize their businesses. And so my background is in how do you turn these things into money? But because I've been able to work on my husband's project, what it did for me is it woke me up. It woke me up because here's the thing, and this is something that I'm learning about the power of the start. Is that, and I have these conversations with a lot of people, you know, where we talk about the what ifs, like, oh, if I get started and I do something, what if this doesn't work out? What if this goes wrong, right? What are some of the things that like I had a conversation with my husband this morning about fears. Okay, guys, when you step out and you do something, there's a lot of fear about what people think and about what people say, or what if it turns out that I'm not all the hype that I am, and what if I make a mistake, and what if, right now we're shipping cookies. We have a fear of like, okay, they're real good, fresh out the oven, but are they going to deliver well, right? So I'm telling all my customers like, hey, let us know if it delivers well or not, because this is our first time doing this, and we want to know, does it make sense to mail cookies, or should we just stay local, right? And then there's the fear, was the fear of me of like, okay, I build, 4 and 5 figure programs. Do I have time to come over here and focus on something that's so low ticket, right? Because in my world, we're high ticket and we're high price stuff in my world, right? And consulting and the coaching space is most of the things that we do as a business is high price stuff, right? So when it comes down to supporting something that isn't as high profit margin, it is the question of time. Like, is this worth it? Should I be putting my time and my energy and my effort into it? Does this make sense? And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about just understanding how to operate and move from a place of alignment, right? And how to operate in a place of confidence, even when you're uncertain about if what you're doing is making sense, but do it anyway, right? Like and there's going to be precaution, but I will tell you guys this, and this is something that I will say over and over and over and over and over again. I do not believe, and this is me, I do not believe that I can make sound decisions without being spiritually in alignment with the Lord. I just can't. I pray. We get on our face. We're praying this morning over my husband, praying over our kitchen, praying over our business, praying over our kids. Getting in the word, asking God for guidance, asking him to show me, like, God, what's the best moves to make and what's the best decisions to move towards, because I need to know. And I always tell people this, you guys, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Okay. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. What that simply means is that we are placed on this earth with divine alignment and assignment. There are things that God has gifted us with that we were called to do. And how you know what that gift is that you naturally do it anyway. It's something that when it's put in front of you, you light up. And it's like, oh my God, I love this. When I see my husband in the kitchen, he lights up. He's moving around like he's dancing. He knows how to grab all the veggies. He chops them up. He puts them together. He mixes his seed. It's like he dances and finesses in the kitchen. Me, it's like sales and marketing, like coming up with a business idea and turning it into income, like that's my joy. That's the thing that I love to do. I've been, this is just a space that I love to play in. And it is where I enjoy the work that I do, right? It doesn't feel like work to me. So when you get connected and understanding that God is giving you these gifts and that this is what you do well, what has to happen is that you have to stay in alignment and start beginning to seek, how does this line up with my life's work, right? A lot of us are trained by career paths, different terminologies. It might be career paths. It might be your profession, right? It might be your area of expertise or your specialty. But what I like to think about is, how do you stay in alignment with your life's work? That means that when you sit down to do it, you can feel shocks through your body as you're doing that thing. But here's what we have to get back and realize. Y'all, you can have that shock factor in anything. You can have that shock factor being a teacher at a preschool and working with the babies. You can have that shock factor being a carpet cleaner, getting the satisfaction of mixing together something where you go into somebody's home and you can see like the frustration of the dirt in their carpet. And you're like, oh, I really want to get this out. And I want to make sure that I leave them a wonderful home, right? You might have it as being a home. You clean homes. You might have a business that cleans homes, right? I think what's happened is we've categorized what is special and what's not. And what we've done is we began to tell ourselves or disqualify ourselves from our gifts, skills, and talents because they don't seem to be the lofty titles that we want associated with our accomplishment, right? And so let me just tell you how that had played out for me. But it played that way for me and my husband. When me and my husband got married, and I remember it was like our first year being married. Now, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. Always. Like, that was just, I used to read the magazines when I was a kid. My mom let me subscribe to Black Enterprise. I just had big dreams of like, we would drive by. I remember being like 9 years old and going to McDonald's all the time and getting a little Happy Meal in the box. And I'm like, Mommy, who owns this? Right? Like, we buy Happy Meals all the time, but who's making the money from the Happy Meals? And my mom, when I was a kid, she bought me the calculator with the paper dispenser, and I would pull everything out of the cabinets at home and I would play store and calculate. And I love seeing them numbers increase when it came down to money. So that's why I always say business is my ministry, because business is just something that I naturally love. So I've always been that friend for all my friends that would say, look, I'm thinking about doing this. And they come to me and I'm like, all right, you can do this, you can do that. Like, this is how we need to do it. And I can help them in 5 seconds come up with a whole business model, because it is what is naturally ingrained in me. But I remember sitting down with my husband, and I remember asking my husband, babe, what's your goal? And he was like, I want to be a good husband and I want to be a good father. And I was like, okay, and what else? Right? He was like, that's my goal. And I was like, you don't want to own stuff? You don't want to have stuff? He was like, yeah, I do. He said, but I really want to be a great father and I want to be a great husband. And y'all, I was disappointed. I was like, that's cool, but dude, like, don't you want to be rich? Like, don't you want to be rich? Like, don't you, I was so ingrained. And I remember sitting down, he had a job at the time making $8.25 an hour. And I had just started getting in real estate. And he was like, well, yeah, I want to do this and I'm going to work my way up the ladder. And I was like, work your way up the ladder? Like, dude, just start from the top. Like, why you got to work up the ladder? Right? Like, who does that? Why? Because our philosophies were totally different. And what happened over the years in our marriage was that I kind of looked down on his ambitions, because I was like, dude, you're not ambitious enough. You're a great father. You're a great husband. But where your hustle at? What, don't you want to make money? Right? I had this perception that only the hustle, grind, driven people were really like the movers and shakers that really like created impact. And it created strife in our marriage in the first couple of years, right? It was like, because the respect was not there, right? The respect was not there. I had him deemed under a title, and the title did not connect with what I felt earned respect for ambition. And so I will say, that lack of respect cost us a lot, because it ended up being where I didn't respect his decisions and I would do stuff on my own, and it would create problems, and it led us to big mistakes, and I had to learn. And here's a lesson that I learned early on in my marriage that over the years have been stamped in my brain over and over and over again. And this is really big for married couples, right? Is that it doesn't matter if you are connected to somebody, and especially in your marriage, and I don't care how talented one person is, how educated they are, and all the stuff that they feel that they have, and this person may not have it. If there is not two on one accord, baby, you can be the hustler, the grinder, the make it happen captain, the get out there, the mover, the shaker, the big money maker, and something will happen that will collapse. Because if you are not on one accord in your household, it will devastate your household, right? Either it will ruin your marriage, or it will impact the atmosphere of how you work, right? Because if there's not a happy home, it spills over into everything else in your life. And so I had to learn early on, like, okay, just because you got a little bit of street smarts, just because you got a little bit of hustle and grind in you, and just because you know how to make some money, does not mean that you disempower, discredit, emasculate, or look down on who you are connected to because they don't flow the same way. Because the reality is that usually you're going to have the aggressive go, and you need the one that's the balancing act behind, saying, slow down, Captain. Let me show you some things. Let me protect you from some things that you can't see because you're moving so fast. And I used to tell people my husband's feet was always on the brakes while mine was on the gas. And over the years, I learned to slow down and listen. What is your input? What do you see? What do you think? Because here's the thing, y'all, and this is something that is why being divinely aligned with the Lord, being spiritually connected and aligned, right? A lot of us want to look at who we are, but it's not who we are, it's who he is in us, because God will give you a level of wisdom and discernment that no education, no skill, no experience can replace. So when you're with somebody who operates under that level of covenant, who is praying over your marriage, who is committed to, like, what do I need to do to protect my family? His wisdom does not have to come from somebody's book of experience or somebody's justified title of validation that what you got to say is qualified, right? There's one of my favorite quotes that says, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call. And so it had to be where I had to learn that it's not about what you can do. It's about what is God showing you that needs to be done, that you have to work hand in hand in. Okay. So like when it comes down to professions and business, y'all, listen, you got to pay the bills. And you guys might be seeing me do all this stuff with my husband. And many of you guys are wondering, what do you do? Are you still doing the other stuff you do? I'm still running my company. I'm still running my business. I still have my agency. I still have my clients. I still am with my online shopping club. Those things are there. But here's what's happening. You identify that there has to be dedicated time to the family unit. I'm making time for my husband. Why? Because before, everybody else got my time. Everybody else can be my client. Everybody else can pick my brain. And then my husband will see me run around. Hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Oh, hold on, I'm on a call. Hold on, I got a meeting. Hold on, I got to go run somewhere. Hold on, I got to travel. We'll talk when I get back. Well, we'll schedule a day this week. We're going to sit down. And it's been that way for years. And finally I said, you know what, babe? Your attention is all mine. Doesn't mean that I'm neglecting anything else that I have to do. I still have businesses to run. We still got to make money, right? Cookies is great, but cookies can't not yet. We on our way, but not yet. Being able to do what we needed to do. And it's not just cookies, but the building the brand and all that stuff. But it's understanding, when do you slow down and ask about alignment and being able to make room for what matters, right? To make room for what matters. And see, for years, my husband's been hidden. He's just, because he's a behind the scenes kind of guy. He don't like being on social media. He don't like being talked about on social media. He'd be nervous. He'd be like, what you say? Because I'm getting a lot of tags. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Right? And then he'll read it and be like, oh, because he's the type, anytime I put something up with his name in it, he'll read it and be like, oh, just take it down. Right? But the point is that I realized that alone you can do a little. but together you can accomplish so much more. And so I told my husband, I said, this is a season. I realized, like, running a business, y'all, being an entrepreneur is very hard. Okay. It is very hard. And I know, hey, Maggie, my sister-in-law's on here. My sister-in-love, hey, sis. But running a business is very hard. Now, it comes naturally to me, right? So it's something that I've learned how to navigate through over the years. But I still feel like sometimes I'm that how you go to a website and you're trying to pull something up and the wheel just keeps spinning. Sometimes I feel like that's where I am. I feel like I'm spinning for some reason, right? And my husband tends to be the one that can see what I'm missing that's keeping me in the spinning place. But I realize that there are things that we can do together that complement one another. That if I can just slow down and make room and find a way to support his vision. In addition, I still got my other stuff going, but to support his vision and make it a priority. What can God do with that? Right? What can God do with that? So it doesn't mean I've shut everything down, right? I see people posting little comments and stuff. But here's the thing, y'all. Listen, most of us are so good about going in the outside world and giving them everything. And then we come home and we won't give our family nothing. You're tired, you're dry, you're exhausted, you don't want to talk, you're sleepy. So your home, although it is the closest thing to you, it's the farthest thing that you're connected to, right? That's very common in today's world. We spend our time on our phones scrolling all day long. We have closer relationships with social media friends that we've never met than we do with our spouses or our children, right? We have all these external distractions that we tend to neglect the very things that are closest to us. I have been that person for years because I always felt like, I got to impact the world. I want to help people. I want to transform people's lives. And yeah, there's money connected to that and it's rewarding, but sometimes we do it to the detriment and the cost of those that matter most, that are your first ministry, which is your family, which is your home, which is your marriage, which is your children, right? We sacrifice the level of accomplishment because we need an image for people to feel like we're doing things, because you may not get the likes and the comments in the house. Your children and your spouse not going through, and well, mine does, right? But they're not leaving the comments all day. They're not giving you this adrenaline rush to give you the words of affirmation and validation that you need to feel important. And so we keep feeding into that space saying, oh, feed me, tell me how amazing I am. Because the truth is, I don't feel amazing at home. And it's because the atmosphere has not been created to breathe that, right? To cultivate that. And so, I look at, and this is something that I really want to encourage husbands and wives on. And I was talking to a couple of wives has hit my inbox like, ooh, I read your post. I'm in the same boat, but I'm not really, doing what I need to do for my husband. And I said, well, listen, I didn't do it either. For many, many years, I did not take the time to just stop and say, babe, how can I support your goals? My husband's the type that will always be, he loves to be a part of a team. He has a personality of a team player, and he is going to get stuff done, right? Whatever we need, whatever needs to happen, he's going to step in. My husband's just amazing. From the first day we got married, I was running around and stuff. By the time I came home, bath water is ready, food and dinner is ready. He'll lay my clothes out. When I'm traveling, he'll pack my husband is amazing, right? But the thing is that I allow him to be the support role and not become the support in return to support what he needed, because he was so comfortable in that role. I didn't really push outside of that. But I will also say timing is everything, right? Because during those years, he was where he wanted to be. He was on the jobs that he loved, doing the things that he enjoyed. And so that was what he needed, right? But now that we're maturing and we're going through these seasons, and we're actually starting to get into a place of like creating not the image, but finding the fulfillment internally in our home. What will create the joy that we need in our home? Not what do we have to keep going to commit to try to chase stuff for an image. What makes us feel good at home? What kind of lifestyle do we want to live? What kind of atmosphere do we want to create? How much income does it take to really produce what we want, right? If we're able to navigate in our passions and really enjoy those things, how are they developed? And so for me, I have my own personal things. But one of the things that I realized that I was doing for myself is the very thing that my husband needed help with for the thing that he wanted to do, but he was frustrated because he couldn't figure out, right? And so it was like a missing puzzle piece that you live with that you can't find. You don't have, and you trying to figure it out to get what you need to get going. And the puzzle piece is laying next to you every day. All I decided to do, y'all, was fit the puzzle piece into the puzzle, right? And make it a priority in our family. And let me tell you what has happened. My husband's confidence is so beast right now, right? I saw the posture rise, right? Because you go from, just constantly suppressing on behalf of sacrificing. And one of my clients, she talks about these things. We sacrifice and we suppress, right? And we do it in the name of the better benefit of the good. But the truth is that you want your time to. You want that moment where you'll be able to say, okay, I've been doing this for years, I win. And so here's what it taught me, because I think people look and be like, did you quit everything just to do this for your husband? No, I did not. I can't. You have to still keep paying bills. What I chose to do was make noise to show him that I got you. And the reason why is because when it comes down to giving someone the support and validation that they need to bring their vision to life. And I want you guys to think about it. And I think about it a lot in sports, right? I was an athlete, as a kid, and there is a huge difference playing a sport and looking in the stand and nobody's in the stand for you versus having a whole squad of people cheering your name with poster boards. I played different. If I didn't have no family members in the stand, I didn't really ball out. My friends didn't come to the game. I really didn't. It was just like, it's just another game. But when I looked in the stand and you heard, go, Nikki, go, go. It's like you ready to go hard. You on a court, you making sure you grabbing every rebound, trying to make every layup, taking every shot, because you know that the audience is in the crowd and they're cheering you on. And one of the best things that I can do for my husband, who has watched me slave and give and be and do and go and create for everybody else. Watch me do this for everybody else. Hear me on all these calls, giving people guidance, getting excited with them about their ideas and showing them how they can do stuff, and seeing me hop on planes and helping people build their stuff out and working with folks and teams to create, is finally do that in a way where he is front and center of focus, right? Front and center. And what I want to say is this, because this came, somebody sent me an email yesterday, or a couple people sent me the same message yesterday. There's a guy who cooks, and he posted a picture yesterday, or 25th, and it was his anniversary, okay, of his resignation from his job 6 years ago. The guy's in the same space as my husband. He cooks and he does, cooking shows and all this stuff. And he said, he resigned from his company that he worked at, his job in 2015. He was making $175,000 a year. But for when he quit, it was the third month of the year. He had made $52,000 for those 3 months. This year alone, with what he's created with his cooking brand, he has made almost $700,000 in 3 months. Okay, in 3 months. And he's now in Mexico living his life. And he's talking about the lifestyle that's been created by making those decisions. And one of the things that he said was, my abundance was wrapped in my obedience, right? My abundance was wrapped in my obedience. And so I read that and I started showing it to my husband. I was like, see, what we're doing here, we don't know where it goes for him. Like, it's like you will never know the outcome of what is going to happen. All you can do is take the first step. And when you take that first step, you commit to it. You commit to the next step, and you commit to the next step, and you commit to the next step, because you don't know. I tell people all the time, this is not just about building a business. This is about pursuing a vision that God gives you. And when you pursue a vision, you have the destination, but you don't know the journey and what it's going to look like. And you can't predict it. You can't necessarily fully plan and strategize. I'm a planner and a strategist. I'm a strategist. I work with people on building out strategies, but you don't know what bumps you're going to hit. You don't know what elements you'll face. All you got to do is just do it. And listen, be okay with making mistakes. I told y'all, me and my husband was talking this morning. I'm like, okay, these cookies went out. I'm praying they taste the same way when they get there. We know it's going to be different, but it could be where we don't know what's on the other side, but we can try. We can let our customers know, hey, listen, we're just getting started. If you have an issue, let us know. And what we can do is commit to making sure that they have a great experience, whatever the outcome, right? But it's being committed to that vision. And when you have that vision, God, I tell people, when it's God's will, it's God's bill. Everything you need will begin to align with that process. It'll all begin to align with that process. So I'm gonna wrap this up. But what I mean by that is this: we discredit ourselves a lot of times because we don't understand how it's going to make sense financially. Or is this I'm really talking towards entrepreneurship, pursuing businesses and stuff like that. You don't really fully know if, and I don't like the word passion to profit, but you don't always know fully how it'll come on the other side. Now, I will be a strategist. I am somebody that thinks about monetizing first before I do anything. But I will say that if God gives you a vision to put something out there that is going to produce some income, do it, and do it imperfectly. Be okay with being perfectly imperfect. I told my husband, he was like, I just want to make sure, because I'm hyping him up. I'm his hype man, right? I'm his hype woman. I'm like, my husband. He's like, well, what if I make mistakes? Because he said he made a dish last night and then it come out and he felt bad. And I was like, dude, you tell people that's what happens. When you experiment, he was making some jerk salmon last night, right? And when you experiment with something, it may not work. We had an ingredient that was new that he didn't like the texture of it, and it messed up his pasta, right? So I was like, but it's okay. It's okay. People want to be a part of the journey. They want to see that you are like me, you're human, and you make mistakes. Tell them, yo, this got jacked up. This didn't quite work out. We're going to try this again. Uh-oh, my daughter's school is calling. And so anyway, we're going to wrap up on that note. I hope this helps you guys. I gotta go. Bye, everybody. My daughter's calling.